3 months ago, I tore my A4 pulley while bouldering. The good news, my finger is finally getting stronger. The bad news, getting stronger doesn't mean you're automatically ready to climb hard again. So how do you safely transition from rehab back to training? Today, I'll show you 3 workouts that help me rebuild finger strength, regain confidence, and start climbing hard again after a climbing finger injury. Let's get warmed up and dive in.
Cover my face with my hoodie on this cold road, trying to break the bank till my pockets getting more growth. I know you see me coming up with these goals, got me shows in the Gold Coast, but we don't post those. A young man living out his dream and then he goes home to pops having problems with his heart, and like he knows those moments that we got left for getting numbered. But he tells his son the world is in your hands, so you know he has to go pro. Make it a scene, give him what you believe. End of the day, you like me, not too far from the tree. And if you had a son and you were sick, you pushed for his dreams and wouldn't let yourself get in the way, whatever the means. I get it, I see it.
Today we're starting off with what I think might be the #1 most important exercise when it comes to rebuilding finger strength and regaining confidence in your climbing, and that is weighted progressive hangs on the hangboard. Behind me I've got a pretty basic setup, but everything I need. We've got a Beastmaker 1000, 3 different size micro crimps, 6mm, 8mm, 10mm, got a brush, phone for timer, chalk bag, and a way to count my reps in case I forget. The biggest questions that I've got from climbers out of the crag and folks here on YouTube since I got this finger injury is, how do I know when my fingers are strong enough to start training again, and when do I actually start training on the hangboard? I don't think there's any magical number that we could write down on paper to say this is the exact moment you should start training again after a finger injury in climbing, because every finger injury is completely different, just like every climber's body is different. Take what I'm giving you today as information and adapt it to your own personal context. Following the advice of my physical therapist, I actually never stopped hangboarding. However, for the very first month, I avoided all full crimps and half crimps, and I only did hangs on very open holds, always making sure that I stayed well within my pain threshold. This is something that's become a very important part into my hangboard warm-up routine. As easy as they seem, I think these open hand holds on the slopers actually made a big difference, especially in the early stages of my rehab. Not only are they great for getting the shoulders warm up and getting ready for climbing, but they gently started putting weight back onto that injured finger. They don't really cost me a whole lot in terms of strength, but from weeks 2 to 4, I really started to notice a big difference, especially when regaining confidence to start using my injured hand again. Because we are doing a lot of trial and error when it comes to experimenting and pushing the limits of our finger once again post-injury, I wanted to share a great piece of advice I actually got from Jane and Martin Speck at the Mellowed Local Bouldering event where the injury happened. Throughout all of your climbing and training for climbing, pay really close attention to your pain. If at any moment you hop off the hangboard or the climbing wall and you notice that the pain is lingering for more than 5 to 15 seconds, it's a sign that you might be pushing yourself too hard. We really want to find that balance between where you're pushing your limits and exerting yourself and challenging yourself, but where you're coming off the wall and not experiencing any pain. If I were to add my own biggest piece of advice after almost 10 years of hangboarding experience, I would say play much more on the side of caution than you normally would when you don't have an injury. It's one of those things that when you start pushing your fingers on the hangboard and adding weights to approach your limits, those aches and pains don't always manifest themselves in the exact moment that you're doing the training. They often appear the next morning after a hard training session in the form of an achy or tweaky tendon. Erring more on the side of caution, especially after you have that finger injury, will help play safe in the long run. At the end of week 3, right as I approached my 1-month anniversary post-injury, is when I did the very first hang on a 20mm edge in a half crimp grip. The following week, in week 5, is when I began to introduce these weighted progressive hangs. One of you asked, do you jump right in and start with max weighted dead hangs, or do you build up slowly and progress over time? I think the best way to approach this is to imagine that we're a beginner climber starting from square one that has to slowly build up over time. In week 5, the first workout I did, I only did 4 to 5 10-second hangs on a 20mm edge with no additional weight. To give you guys a little bit of context, my body weight is around 60 kilograms, and I typically would have between 45 and 55 kilograms of added additional weight. Doing these hangs with healthy fingers on a 20mm edge is not super difficult for me, but at that stage of the recovery process, it definitely was. Because my finger responded pretty well to that initial workout and I didn't have any pain in the injured finger while doing the hangs or in the morning post-workout, later in the week I introduced my first hangs with added weight. I did this really slowly and cautiously using increments of 2.5 kilograms, and I think during that very first added weight session, I only did hangs with 5 or maybe at most 10 kilograms of added extra weight. This is a process that I later did rinse and repeat over the following weeks. If you're not sure how to approach hangboard training or you've never gone through a multi-month hangboard training cycle, I actually put all the information I know together in one ebook. I thought it turned out pretty cool. It was all written by hand, no AI crap. In this ebook, I started by listing out a couple of different warm-up routines you can do prior to hangboarding, how to approach finding your max training starting weight. I also included a bunch of frequently asked questions when it comes to hangboarding, along with a 2-month template showing the amount of hangs that you should be doing per session and a place for you to actually log the amount of weight that you're hanging with per hang. You can annotate this either on a tablet or your mobile phone or print it off to be used in a climbing training log. The link to that is down below. It's priced somewhere around $10 and about 90% of that goes right back into the channel so I can keep creating cool stuff for you guys to watch. Whew, feeling good. Throughout the rest of month 2, I only did my hangs on a 20mm edge, and I think I worked my way up between 35 and 40 kilograms of added weight. At the end of month 2, I then shifted over to training once again on a 10mm edge, starting with 0 added weight in a full crimp. If we look at my hands, my pinky fingers are actually pretty short. Both of them are bent, and it's pretty difficult for them to actually bend over. So what ends up happening on the 20mm edge when I start adding weight is that naturally it allows my hand to open up into almost a 4-finger drag. So even though my index finger is slightly bent over in a half crimp, I turn it around and this finger is completely dragging and the ring finger is starting to open out too. But if I use a 10mm edge, put my thumb around my index finger, now my fingers are full crimping and this finger is a little bit bent over. It still doesn't bend a lot, but then this finger gets forced into a much more aggressive crimp. If you have any questions about hangboarding or any of the workouts we're doing today, definitely drop those in the comments below. I'm always curious to hear from you all in the community and help out in any way I can. It is way too hot right now to be doing these hangs on these micro crimps. I'm just sliding off the holds and it feels like there's a lot of skin thrashing going on. I'm gonna call it there for today's session on those micro crimps in the full crimp. I was hoping to do one hang at 17.5 kilograms, which would be a new personal best after the injury. But on a positive note, I did 3 hangs, one more than last week with 15 kilograms. A lot of you are probably already familiar with no hang deadlifts, but instead of doing them with 4 fingers, we're gonna be isolating that injured finger in a way that we can scientifically and accurately measure the progression over time. For this, I've got my portable hangboard. This one's made by Tremors, has a bunch of different edge sizes. I will be using a 20mm edge for this. Then you need either a cord to hang your weights on, or this weight pin. This one's from lattice climbing, and a few small incremented weights. The workout's pretty simple. We're gonna do 5 static lifts for 10 seconds apiece. One trick that I found helpful is taking your hangboard block and turning it diagonally instead of trying to hold it horizontally. This way, all of your force is pulling upwards into that diagonal position, and it doesn't go slipping and sliding as you're doing your hold. I think it's pretty interesting just how little weight you can add to a single digit. Right now, I've got the weight pin that I think is around 600 kilograms plus 2.5 kilograms for my first repetition. Already feeling a little bit better from last week. Always gotta celebrate those little wins. Today we got a new record, did 2 reps with 5 kilograms. Over the last month, I've been doing all 3 workouts here in this video in one session, but as the gym started to get a little bit full in the evening hours, I realized I'd been too ambitious trying to film everything in one go. Here's my very first 7A I had done on the MoonBoard since entry, called Biff Ryberg. Today's workout's gonna be on the MoonBoard, which should be pretty cool because you're gonna get a sneak peek at what my climbing looks like almost exactly 3 months post-injury. The basis of this workout, once again, is very straightforward. I've prepared a list of 10 different boulder problems, with the goal being to expose my finger to lots of different types of movements. In this list of different boulder problems, I've tried to pick out some boulders that have wide open hand grips so I can get the explosive movements going again, and some boulders that have some crimps that are gonna put me a little bit out of my comfort zone. Today, I'm aiming to have all of my boulder problems be no easier than 6C or V5, with a couple of those being in the 7th grade range. This is something that I've worked up to over the last month or so, but you can adapt it to any climbing board you're training on, or even do the workout with preset boulders in your climbing gym. While I'm getting warmed up, take a second to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you over on the MoonBoard. As I'm going through today's workout, I'm going to try to pay close attention to the way that I'm gripping, especially with my right hand, because I've noticed over the last month or so, I've really started to fall into the habit of open 3-finger dragging almost everything I can. At this level, I'm able to kind of get away with it, but as soon as the holds start getting smaller, especially outdoors, I'm really going to need to use my pinky finger. So I need to make sure that I'm trying to half crimp with 4 fingers. Also, our LED light system is not exactly synchronized correctly right now, so I'm having to memorize the boulders. As I go along, I'll make sure that I put the names to the boulder problems in the video. Oh yeah! That's my first 7A plus since I got injured. Here on the MoonBoard. Sick! And I flashed it. Well, day flashed. I'd actually done this problem some time ago. But wow, felt pretty solid. It's a little bit sliding off that side pull there, but I was really trusting it. And I'm proud of myself that I really followed through, because that's a kind of hold that over the last month or so I've been a little bit scared to grab. Today, felt confident. Sick. My max red point here on the MoonBoard 2019 kit is a 7B+. I don't think that I've ever gotten a 7C, or if I have, I've only gotten a couple that definitely were not benchmarks. I have done all the moves on a few of the 7C benchmarks, but I've never pieced any of them together. I find that this MoonBoard kit is really spanny for me, and is definitely a compilation of all of my weak points as a climber, whereas the 2016 kit I'm able to kind of work around and use a lot of my crimp strength. But recovering from a finger injury, the MoonBoard 2019 kit has been a great tool for me to work those dynamic moves and start to feel confident in my climbing once again. The first time that I did a problem on the MoonBoard was around the 6-week mark, but I definitely wouldn't call that an entire MoonBoard session, because I had pretty much gotten frustrated with the spray wall in our public rec center, and I went over to the MoonBoard and I set a problem using only the giant black jug and the 2-finger pocket, so I didn't have to hold any of the smaller holds with my right hand. Around the 2-month mark, or 8 weeks, is when I started doing this workout here on the MoonBoard 2019.
Sleeping in these studios and waking up at 7, took the train to college. 1 semester was enough, I told my mom I got a different plan. I know that she was worried, but I kept my promise. Got the coins coming in once I checked the Sonics. Bank accounts emptied out, I had to thug it out. Always had a way to make it work and find another route. If they don't credit me, I'm checking out. These raps are just the thoughts I always stress about. My only way to let them out. They compare me to Jack, compare me to Mac. I feel it, but just spare me, it's whack. I bear my soul on these tracks. I never did it for a bag or a plaque. Just want the mirror man to smile when he stare at me back. It's like 3 a.m. and BK with a spliff. Thinking about if this is worth all the risk, is this as far as we get? I hope it isn't.
Vibes are feeling pretty good today. Do we count it or do we not count it? I think my right foot got a little sneaky toe hook there. But we're going for moves, we're definitely counting it.
Been through the grind since my hands was to the sky. I'll be damned if I don't fly. I wasn't fine, but I'm always showing up on time. Put that on mine. I'll be damned if I don't fly. I made a living off of slinging these words, so there's no limits onto what I deserve. If you play me, then it's not my concern. Larry David, you get kicked to the curb. Need me a ring, even if I have to travel to the middle of Earth.
I think this is probably the best that I felt on the MoonBoard in a really, really long time. I definitely three-finger dragged one of those crimps up there. I wouldn't say that it was a very difficult problem for me, but those are pretty small holds, and this one here, I full crimped it and felt confident. I moved off of it. I think I've got a lot to be proud of right now.
The murder scene, this time I'm about to detonate. Change your style to stay around, you featherweight. I'm heavy now, give me a reason so I can demonstrate. Fingerprints are everywhere, I'm locked if they investigate. But it's okay though, detectives on the payroll. She think I love her, I was blacked out off the J-mode. They get a little edge till they get RKO.
Oh, that last move is really hard. I just fallen on it twice before. We saved it by a little hair.
Open flame, turn me in the dark spiral, and you know how the game go. The style bender, the #1 contender, the one your friends told you stop sleeping on. I dealt with bad deals, bad debts, bad dice, and now the demon's gone. And this your theme song, shake your cheeks off. COVID hit, I stayed low and took a week off, and then I got right back to work, cause I had things to speak on. My bro was locked for selling dope, and now there's billions in the weed farms. Free my dogs, we need a reform. Maybe I should be anonymous with how I feel, but them dollar bills if I can't talk about the rotten filth. How many problems can the mind conceal till everything just self-destruct, but I always been hard to kill. 2007 that I almost moved to Titanville, but Lori changed her mind last second and the plot fulfilled. Butterfly effect, I would have been a child with guilt. Instead I met Steez and the rest is history. Little me asked for kisses on the cheek, turn my face and I kiss him on the lips. Jesse always been a freak, now I'm blowing up like TNT, but I always been elite. This is just the biggest stage for the world to see. Nationwide, Nick, state to state, I vaporized pits. Life was rough until I made it mine. Yeah, leveled up, you get the gist. Give a f about a list when you do it like. Just caution, cross the line, I got the yellow tape and lead it to the murder scene. This time I'm about to detonate. Change your style to stay around, you featherweight. I'm heavy now, give me your reasons.
Wow, is all I can say about today's MoonBoard session. I definitely did not expect to do 8 problems graded 7A or higher. I've really been struggling over the last month or so trying to feel that flow, and just with the summer heat and everything just feels really hard. But I think I need to take this as a sign that things are moving in the right direction. If you made it this far in this video and are listening along with a climbing finger injury, keep your head up, stay positive, and you'll be back on the wall before you know it. Till next time, happy climbing.